What's up? I'm Coach Dan Blewett. In today's video, let's talk about arm care for softball, whether this is fast pitch or slow pitch, doesn't really matter. But we will kind of go by age. So we'll talk about, if you're a young fast pitch player, what you should be doing at 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, etc. And if you're a slow pitch player, just listen in and you can kind of just take what you want from the older age group and just know that arm care is important for everyone, no matter what the age. But in today's video, we're going to cover arm strengthening exercises and, essentially injury prevention. That's what we call arm care. All right, so first, before we go into this by age, let's talk about why do arms hurt in general, because this is important. So arm care is something you can add to your training regimen to hopefully strengthen your arm, which then, takes stress off your joints. It makes your arm more durable. You can throw more, throw harder without, sort of exceeding that threshold where you start to have pain. That's the goal, right? You can't prevent every injury, but when you're well trained and your muscles are well conditioned and strong and have endurance, they can withstand more force and stress and all that sort of stuff. But the thing to remember is your pain, do you need to do arm care first to sort of cure it? Or do you need to maybe stop pitching 3 straight games in a row, or stop having 6 games in a weekend where you play short or play catcher? Remember, overuse is one of the biggest causes of, throwing is a repetitive use injury typically. So overuse in these insane tournament games, tournament schedules, like throwing too much, like not really mapping out your week very well, those are usually some of the big culprits in why players have pain. Yes, arm care can always help that, but just remember that this isn't meant to be a Band-Aid or like a magic pill to fix the fact that you're just like abusing your arm, or you as a coach or as a parent, like you're letting your daughter play too much or just like pitch too much. So just be aware that arm care is not a Band-Aid for just abusing your arm in general. It's also important to think about your practice and training habits. Are you getting enough workouts in? Or are you getting too many workouts in? Are you, allowing yourself to get rest and recovery? Are you, again, this is also part of the overuse equation. And then is it arm care, or is it the fact that your throwing mechanics aren't very good? Those can also be factors in your arm pain. So just consider all that just as an addendum, because arm care is just one piece. It's one tool in keeping your arm healthy and also in performing well. So let's start with ages 11 and under. So will arm care have an effect at this age? So I used to own a baseball, softball academy. I was also a pro pitcher in baseball. And what I've learned from working with kids of all ages over the years is that kids this young, they're just not ready for really serious training in most cases. I don't recommend strength training below 12 years old, because they just really aren't going to do it properly well enough to get the training effect that we want. A lot of arm care stuff has to be done really slow and in control. Like we really have to go slow with these 2 or 3 pound dumbbells to really get an effect. And 11-year-olds don't do that very well. So just understand that if your kid's not in the headspace where they can really take it seriously and really focus on doing it properly, it's probably not going to have much benefit at all. And I don't think kids this young should be really doing training as much as they should just be having fun, playing the game, and developing a passion for it. I think strength training at this age is much better rather than dedicated arm care, which is also really tedious. And the other thing you don't want to do as a parent or as a coach is burn your kids out by making softball feel like a job when they're just little kids. And this is still definitely in the little kid age. So yes, being serious about your sport and learning good practice habits and dedication is important, but it's not so important as to make it feel like a job really early. And the other thing to remember for young girls is that when you throw 45 miles per hour, which is what most players 11 and under throw, you're just not putting a lot of force through your arm. The most injuries for throwing arms in general happen with baseball pitchers, and especially baseball pitchers who throw hard, who throw like 80 and above. Those are by far and away the most injured group. And softball players throwing, again, a ball 45, like, are you going to suffer a major rotator cuff tear or elbow damage at age 11 throwing 40? Probably not. Again, you should be cautious. This is just general advice. But just, I want to urge you to remember that your kids are probably not going to get seriously injured from throwing at this age. And you should really focus on fun and just, playing the game for the most part. And you're not going to get that much benefit out of it. That's sort of the takeaway here for this age group. Now for 12 and 13, this is still honestly in the same kind of category, especially because ball speeds are still very low. The average 12 or 13-year-old still throws in the 40s typically. There's obviously a big range, right? But most of them still throw in the 40s. So they're not putting a lot of strain through their arm. And they're also still at this age not likely to do arm care with really good techniques. They're not going to get as much out of it. This is true for boys and for girls at this age. It has nothing to do with gender. So I think where you can get arm care in as a coach, if you're trying to help players start to learn this stuff, is as a warm-up as a team. There's some really simple ones you can do. I'll link to some of them below as a team, which is great. So they're just starting to get the taste of it, but it's not like sitting at home for 20 or standing at, in your living room for 20 minutes doing these boring dumbbell exercises that I did as a baseball pitcher for 5 days a week for 13 years straight. That's pretty rough. But strength training at this age is a really good thing to start. And it can have a very, very similar effect where strength training really should be considered arm care for young players. Because when you're doing a push-up, your shoulders are going through range of motion. Everything's getting stronger when you're doing rows and all that sort of stuff. Those are strengthening your whole body's a system. So arm care is strength training at younger ages, and they're kind of interchangeable. And I think that's a great thing to start at 12, 13, more so than like dedicated arm care. If they'll do it at this age, wonderful. But I don't think most players will, because typically they're still healthy and like they don't really see the point either. At 14 to 16, this is where players definitely start to break down more. They definitely start to have arm pain. A lot of girls have hit puberty, so they're bigger and stronger. They can put more force through the ball when they throw. And, open growth plates where girls are rapidly growing, getting taller. It just, a lot of stuff changes. And this is typically the age where players start to have problems, whether it's arm pain or knee pain or whatever. Like they just start to become athletes capable of putting a lot of force through their body. And so this is a good time for them to start this because they will run into trouble at some point. But also when they start to get a little bit of discomfort and like their arm doesn't feel good on the last day of a tournament, those are positives in the sense that those will be the kick in the pants that most players need to actually take arm care seriously for the first time in their life. It's human nature that we're just not that good at taking things seriously that seem like they're very in the distance, that they don't apply to us yet. It's the same thing with me. I was healthy all the way up until age like 15, and then I started having elbow problems. And then as the elbow problems didn't go away very easily, I started to try to really think, hey, how can I fix this for myself and seek out training and all this other stuff. That's typically the progression. Most players need to have some amount of discomfort before they really realize, oh, when I do my arm care, my arm actually does feel a lot better. So they feel very motivated to not be in pain. So just understand as a parent, you probably, in many cases, will not be able to warn your kids into doing this because it's boring and they don't see the point because their arm feels good. And that's honestly like an understandable thing. It's not ideal, but it's understandable. So just understand, but at 14 to 16, you want to be doing 3 to 4 days a week, especially if you're a pitcher. Because, you pitch so much and it's, again, performance enhancement. You'll throw harder for sure doing it. And it will help you, feel less of those deleterious effects from pitching, tons and tons, multiple hundreds of pitches in a weekend. So 14 to 16 is a really important time to get on a good strength training regimen and to be on a good arm care regimen 3 or 4 days a week, hopefully. That's ideal. And then at age 16 plus, this is where girls are big and strong and they're great athletes and they can put a lot of force through their arm, right? This is really a necessity, especially for pitchers, and especially with players. I know a lot about throwing for softball. That's one of my specialties. And girls are all trying to throw harder, get above 55 and really get to that 60-mile-per-hour mark. And if you're not doing arm care and then you really dedicate yourself to arm care, strengthening all the muscles that accelerate and decelerate your arm, most players gain a handful of miles per hour from that, and that's important. So this is a really good time to make this part of your routine, whether it's part of your warm-up, part of your cool down after a game, part of your strength training routine, or as its own standalone thing, at home watching TV, after you've done all your other workouts for the week. But this is a good time, age 16 plus, where you really need to become serious about your arm care. The last couple things, remember, I've talked about this already, but most players, just human nature, are not going to be really dedicated to this because it's boring, it's tedious, it feels like work, it's not fun. They will not be dedicated to this until they have some kind of problems. So as a parent, you can nag them about it. And if it just isn't sinking in, I would just back off and just wait. And they'll, maybe it's they don't throw hard enough and that kicks them in the pants, or maybe they have a little bit of discomfort. But most softball players are not going to catastrophically injure their arm at the first time they have pain. They'll have a little bit of pain first. And it'll give their body, their body will essentially be giving them notice to say, hey, you need to start taking care of me. And then at that point, you have your two paths, right? You can start to actually do it or ignore it. And then maybe you become actually injured. So just remember that this is kind of human nature. And this is the progression I've seen, even with really dedicated players. If they're feeling good, they just don't really see the point. And again, that's kind of human nature. So do the best you can. For takeaways here, don't make this feel like a job early. Encourage, try to like fold arm care into your practices if you're a coach or whatever. Try to make it as fun as you can. But understand that young players aren't going to get a super benefit out of it. They're not nearly as at risk as older players. And you don't want to make softball feel like a job, where for them to have fun for their 1.5 hour game, they've got to do all these hours of tedious stuff that they just don't like. And, again, those are all trade-offs. When you super duper love it, like I love baseball to this day, obviously, I was willing to do the really tedious stuff to stay on the field and to be good and to be better than other people. But every player is different. And I don't know that I would have done arm care at 12 years old. I probably looked at someone like they were stupid and like, I'm going back in the backyard. I'm going to go play with my buddy for a while. I'm not doing those dumbbell exercises. That's honestly probably how I would have approached it at 12. So again, everyone's different, but just don't make a job too early. Obviously, it'll benefit any age player, but that's life. Remember that strength training is a really important thing. That's something I do think players can get a lot out of starting at age 12, and that does really serve as good arm care. So that's a good way to consider it. And strength training, especially for young girls, is so important in their confidence. It helps them really just like jump ahead of other athletes. And I've seen just like such great effects from strength training. So that's something to really think about, where if you haven't done either, strength training is a really good place, especially in an in-person group situation where they can socialize, be around other players of different age groups, and have a really good strength coach who can encourage them and teach them. So that's one of the big things that I would recommend, especially for younger players. And then again, just like try to mix little doses in where you can and try to make it fun. Just try not to make it like a job. All right. So hopefully today's video on arm care for softball, specifically for fast pitch, but again, there's a lot of lessons here for slow pitch as well. Hopefully this was helpful. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. You'll also find my online courses, my softball throwing programs. So if you do want to throw harder and learn how to throw better, check that out, as well as my Pro Routines program, which has arm care programs, all this other stuff built into it. All right. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you here in the next video.